Good day, ladies and gentlemen, and a very warm welcome to the Oberoi Realty Q1 FY22 earnings conference call. We have with us today on the call Mr. Oberoi, the Chairman and Managing Director of the company, and Mr. Saumil Daru, Director of Finance of the company. Please note that this call will be for 60 minutes, and for the duration of this conference call, all participant lines will be in the listen-only mode. This conference is being recorded, and the transcript for the same may be put up on the website of the company. After the management discussion, there will be an opportunity for you to ask questions. Should anyone need assistance during the conference call, you may signal for an operator by pressing star followed by 0 on your touchtone phone. Before I hand the conference over to the management, I would like to remind you that certain statements made during the course of this call may not be based on historical information or facts and may be forward-looking statements, including those related to general business statements, plans, strategy of the company, the future financial condition, and growth prospect. The forward-looking statements are based on expectations and projections and may involve a number of risks and uncertainties and other factors that could cause actual results, opportunities, and growth potential to differ materially from those suggested by such statements. I'm now glad to hand the conference over to Mr. Oberoi, the Chairman and Managing Director of the company. Thank you, and over to you, sir.
Thank you. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to all of you as per the time zones from which you have logged in, and welcome to the conference call of first quarter financial year 2022 results and business updates. Firstly, let me thank you all for taking time to attend this call. I hope your family and you are doing well and keeping yourself safe. We all know how the financial year 2021 started, and we were all fortunate that financially, at least for most of us, it ended really well. First quarter of 2022 started with a bit of a challenge. We saw the second wave coming in and disrupting a little bit of our business. However, keeping and given all the constraints, we were still able to operate our offices, and we now see that the second wave, with the way the government is controlled, with the way our city has responded, seems to be in control, and we now see that even shopping malls and restaurants are going to open up. So we are very hopeful that the second quarter comes back to normalcy, and we all can hope that there is a full, like the entire operations are back. I will obviously be answering most of your questions as we go along. I will now hand over the call to Mr. Saumil Daru, our Group CFO, for him to take you through the details of the number. And like I said, that I'll be very happy to address any individual questions during the Q&A. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Oberoi. I guess most of you would have gone through the presentation which is available on our website along with the results which have been filed with the exchanges. Moving to the numbers. In terms of consolidated financials, the total consolidated revenue for Q1 FY22 was 294 crores as against 126 crores for Q1 FY21 and 800 crores Q4 FY21. The consolidated PBT for this quarter stood at 109 crores as against 39 crores for the same quarter last year. And the consolidated PAT for this quarter stood at about 80 crores as against 29 crores for the same quarter last year. Moving to the asset level performances, beginning with the investment properties. As far as the Oberoi Mall was concerned, as you would have noted from the notes and the presentation, that there was only a limited recognition. We have not recognized any revenues for the non-operational stores. As far as Commerz, which is the office space asset, is concerned, this contributed about 7 crores to the operating revenue for this quarter as against 4 crores for Q1 FY21 and 6 crores for Q4 FY21. As far as Commerce II is concerned, this contributed about 32 crores for this quarter as against 29 crores for the same quarter last year and about 32 crores for Q4 FY21. The EBITDA margins in this vertical are in excess of over 90%. The Westin Mumbai Garden City, this contributed about 7 crores to the operating revenue for this quarter as against 2 crores for Q1 FY21 and about 12 crores for Q4 FY21. Moving onwards to the development properties, Exquisite, the total booking value for this quarter is 26 crores as against 35 crores in Q4 FY21. The total revenue recognized in this quarter was 26 crores on account of 100% project completion. Similar numbers for Esquire. The total booking value this quarter was 22 crores as against 148 crores in Q4 FY21 and 16 crores in Q1 FY21. And the total revenue recognized in this quarter is at about 11 crores. For Elysian, of the total project of about 11.8 lakh square feet, we booked another 10,000 square feet in this quarter, and till date we have booked about 5.42 lakh square feet. Total booking value in this quarter was 18 crores as against 991 crores in the quarter of launch. The cumulative booking value till date is close to about 1,009 crores. The total revenue recognized for this project in this quarter is at about 4 crores and cumulative revenue recognition till date is about 56 crores. For Prisma, the booking value during this quarter was 6 crores and the total revenue recognized again stood at the same number of 6 crores on account of 100% project completion. For Maxima, this quarter the total booking value stood at 11 crores as against 7 crores for the same quarter last year and about 66 crores for Q4 FY21. The cumulative booking value till date stands at about 175 crores. Revenue recognition for this project in this quarter stands at 5 crores. Cumulative rev-rec till date is about 90 crores. Moving on to Mulund, Eternia. Total booking value in this quarter was 11 crores as against 69 crores in Q4 FY22 and no bookings in Q1 FY21. The cumulative booking value till date is at about 1133 crores and the revenue recognized in this project in this quarter was 18 crores. Cumulative recognition till date is about 738 crores. Same location, Enigma. For this quarter, the total booking came in at about 19 crores as against 153 crores in Q4 FY21 and 5 crores for Q1 FY21. Cumulative booking value till date is about 1,056 crores. Revenue recognition in this project in this quarter stood at about 37 crores and the cumulative revenue recognition till date stands at about 662 crores. Moving on to Borivali in Sky City. Till date, the total, rather in this quarter, the booking value for that project was 54 crores as against 2 crores in the same quarter last year and at about 443 crores for Q4 FY21, which as you would all recollect included the launch of one more tower. The total revenue recognized for this project this quarter stood at about 101 crores and the cumulative revenue recognition till date is at about 2,751 crores. For Oasis 360 till date, we have booked about 6.6 lakh square feet and the booking value till date is at about 2,770 crores. For the overall residential vertical, to summarize during the quarter, the total booking value across all the residential apartments came to 170 crores and the collections during the quarter was at about 639 crores. Coming back to some key financial parameters, our adjusted EBITDA margins for this quarter was at about 45%. PAT margins was at about 27%. As we have always said earlier, the EBITDA margins for mall and commerce are much higher than the average as mentioned. Excluding them, the margins for our pure residential business is 37% in this quarter. Thank you so much and with that would like to hand the floor over to all of you for any questions that you all may have. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, we will now begin the question and answer session. Anyone who wishes to ask a question may press star and 1 on your touchtone phone. If you wish to remove yourself from the question queue, you may press star and 2. Participants are requested to use handsets while asking a question. Ladies and gentlemen, we will wait for a moment while the question queue assembles. The first question is from the line of Kunal Lakhan from CLSA. Please go ahead.
Hi, good evening.
Good evening.
Just quickly on what what is the traction we are seeing post easing of restrictions, say it's in July, and how have the sales been, considering last quarter was a little disappointing in terms of sales, and I can understand it's primarily on account of lockdown for the large part of the last quarter. But July onwards, how are you seeing that restrictions? And also, I wanted to understand, are you seeing some impact of the rollback of stamp duty also in the numbers now?
So, frankly, we are not seeing any impact of the rollback as such. Number one. Number two, let me save the good news for the next quarter call. I don't want to, reveal much about this. Again, it'll look like as if I'm giving more information about the next quarter than what I should. So let's leave it at that. But I can only tell you that obviously life is pretty much back. And, all I can say is we all are back in business.
Okay, sure. And last quarter, right, you had highlighted that you're ramping up the redevelopment projects team and, that part of your business. Any update on that side? Any new projects that you have signed, or any update would be helpful.
So absolutely, we have taken this up big time. We've increased our team of people. All these guys have 2 months and 3 months notice for their old companies. But we've already set a team, put this together, and we're seriously looking at. And we've done. This is a slow process. Unlike a buyer and a seller, you have anywhere between 150 to 500 people who make a decision about redevelopment. So we have put the right kind of people in place and are simultaneously negotiating with multiple societies.
Sure. And lastly, can you just update on the HBS, the Shivshahi project? There was some news article sometime back about HBS seeking about 1,600 crores from the society for the deal getting called off. Any update there?
So nothing. So firstly, the society has appointed us, and now we are collectively resolving their old issues. Obviously, we will sign the development agreement once this issue is resolved. And like I said, that right now, all I can say is that the society has appointed us as developers, and we are collectively looking at getting this sorted out.
Sure. Thank you so much, and all the best.
Yeah.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Abhinav Sinha from Jefferies. Please go ahead.
Hey, hi. Just a few questions. So one, on the cash flow front, we had a strong, operating surplus, but has there been some capex heavy item this quarter? So, the CWIP has gone up by about 400 crores.
Hi, Abhinav, Saumil here. Yes, so, one was obviously, so there will always be two components to anything in CWIP. One will be land related or FSI related, if I can say that, and the other will be construction related. So there was some amount of FSI purchase that happened in Form 3. So a large component of the increase that you're seeing is coming from there, and the balance is coming in from both the construction costs incurred over here as well as in Borivali for the Sky City Mall.
Sorry, Saumil, which project you mentioned for FSI?
For Commerce 3 is where we made the FSI payments, and the construction cost is for both Commerce 3 as well as the Sky City Mall.
And just to add, Commerce 3 is the building where we have Morgan Stanley taking the office space. It's their building.
Right. And so secondly, on and on the retail bit itself, so I think last year we were able to negotiate some settlements, and the subsequent quarter revenues were better. So how are those negotiations sort of trending this time around?
Frankly, we haven't even started negotiations because most people want to start the operations now. Like from whatever we read in the papers, I think very soon, maybe in a day or two, malls will be now made operational. So the state government has taken a call. They will now, ask individual municipal corporations, basis their comfort, to allow people to operate. Once that gets done, we'll all sit down. So this is a partnership between both retailers and us, and we've always taken a very fair ground, and we'll have this sorted out once we know what is the extent, when will it start, and so on and so forth.
Sure. And one more, if I may ask, and this is on the project progress base. So, for example, for Eternia Enigma, we are at about 64-67% completion. I believe the deliveries are expected in the next 3 to 4 quarters, right? So, isn't it lagging a bit in terms of percentage spend? And would you expect this to significantly pick up in the months ahead?
Not really. So what we have actually done is that most of the finishing is done. We were just waiting for certain approvals to come, which have already come as we speak. And now you will see the pace increase, and we are within our timelines, within the extended timelines that RERA has given. With God's grace, we will finish it within the timelines. There will be no extension to that. And even velocity sale and all you saw in the last year really was very good. So, finally, I would say that, Mulund is woken up in a big way. In fact, if you see FY21, it pretty much matched the sales of Borivali. So it's very heartening to see that,
Right. Okay, so thanks and all the best.
Thank you. Thanks, Abhinav.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Parikshit Kandpal from HDFC Securities. Please go ahead.
Hi, sir. So my first question is on the business development side. So you said that you were building up the team. So in terms of little more granularity on this, so what kind of pre-sales potential additions we are looking per year, or a single project could be potentially of what size in terms of sales, pre-sales potentials, if you can give some granularity on.
Hi, Parikshit. So basically, we are looking at any redevelopment project where one could generate a revenue of anywhere between 500 and 700 crores, and as a company, if we could make 200-300 crores out of it, is something that probably falls within our project size. And so this is like this is a sweet spot. We wouldn't want to go below this. Anything bigger is obviously always welcome.
So these will be like short cycle projects, like single phase, and you go and launch it and exit in like 2-3 years and take your money out.
Correct. And what we are doing is, so even internally, we have created multiple project directors. So as a group, what we've done is like we will now have a project director who will look after the redevelopment bit, and he will have probably, anywhere between 10 and 15 such projects, and he will be responsible for execution of those. So we do not let go of our quality. The focus is as much as it would be in a large project, but at the same time, we'll get the scale part of it also.
Okay. The second question was on the Shivsai Society. So this has gone into litigation. So do you think that this is resolvable, or maybe at some point of time we'll have to give up this and we move on?
Obviously, we are sure that it can be resolved, otherwise we wouldn't be wasting our time. But that's where we are. We are fully supporting the society to help them get out of this, and then, get into the development phase. It is unfortunately a complicated project that one has got in. Not that, others are not. Any brownfield project comes with its set of challenges. Like the earlier question was that, the developer has made a claim of 1,600 crores. But so has the society made a counter claim of I don't know how much, another 2,000 crores or whatever. But all this gets contested. The society has the property back in their possession, and our lawyers are talking to see how we can entirely mitigate that, because we want to start investing our monies once this litigation is cleared. We are fully supporting them. We are legally with them. We are trying to structure everything, guide them also, help them as well. But we want to, we want to see it settled. Then we'll do the development agreement.
Okay. So from the launch perspective, like this will be like couple of years away from launching this project?
No, if things get sorted out, we are looking at, maybe even a 6 to 9 months launch.
Okay. Just lastly on 360 West, Vikas, just your views, last 2 quarters you have drawn a nil there, and I think OC, the first point is on OC, so when it is expected, and so even in terms of pipeline and inquiries and footfall, so how do you see the traction building up on this project? You just can touch upon, and whether in this year we can see some profit recognition happening.
So, we are literally, I would say, we are knocking on the doors for as far as occupation is concerned. We should get it any moment. It's probably, days or some weeks away. And we took a conscious call that we will sell only now once OC is in hand, so that there is no surprise or suspense to this. So another 4 weeks, we have a lot of sales that are lined up, and you will see, bulking up of this sale, if everything goes well going forward.
And in terms of profit recognition this year, is it possible, possibly it will hit the P&L this year?
Sorry, come again?
So in terms of profit recognition, whether this project will reach the threshold?
Once I have occupation certificate, instantly we will recognize that entire profit, and, we'll do that. So if the way things are, it's nobody's guess that, once OC comes in, then we will obviously be recognizing that. We've already applied for occupation certificate. We've already said to the government, come, please have a look, check, and all that.
Okay. Thank you. That's all from my side, and all the best.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Sameer Baisiwala from Morgan Stanley. Please go ahead.
Hi, Sameer.
Hi, thanks. Hi, good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
So, a quick thoughts, Vikas, on the pricing environment that you're seeing?
Good question, Sameer. One, I want to tell everybody that input costs have gone up big time. So I clearly see that, even at current prices, most developers are sweating. I don't know how they will be able to sustain the pricing. So I feel that, in the, let's say not an immediate future, but in future, I see prices going up. The other aspect is the supply also has come down big time. Due to pandemic, a lot of work was stalled. So whatever was in the ready condition has actually got sold. I mean, you clearly see even our own Esquire, I don't think we'll have much left in some time to come. So I see prices moving upward at some point in time. Today, obviously, whatever is ready, it's still priced in the old regime. People are wanting the money, they are selling and moving on, but this probably won't last for too long. So, frankly, if you are a buyer, please quickly buy it because prices are likely to go up.
Okay, and just Vikas, in this context, Elysian is at 18,000, Esquire and Exquisite are 22, 23,000. So how does the gap get filled up over next few quarters?
So, see, Elysian, we have, we have 3 schemes. One is bank subvention, we have developer subvention, and we have, construction linked plan. And as Somil told you, 50% of the sales are done. Frankly, with the amount of money I get out of Elysian, I can almost finish, superstructure of all the 5 towers without even going to anybody. That's the kind of cash we've been able to generate out of this. They're sitting with money in the bank as far as that goes. So, was this your question? I mean, I'm sorry if I've digressed.
Well, I mean, not exactly in the sense that, will you take price increases 5-7% as, you get more and more volume? So, because at some point in time, Elysian will have to converge with the pricing of the other two,
Absolutely. So, see the delta that you see between Elysian and Esquire is clearly the time Elysian will take to completion. as that time reduces, obviously we will keep increasing the price. That's one. Two, like I said, that there is a very strong likelihood of prices going up. It's actually unaffordable for most people. We are very lucky that we have margins wherein we can play. If I want to play the volume game, I can play the volume game, not really pushing the prices up. But you're right that at some point in time it will catch up. And the other natural catch up will also be that I'll run out of Esquire stock in the next maybe 2-3 quarters at best, maybe even earlier. So once I'm done with that, I have no choice but only this product left, and I have no control over Esquire pricing. Now the resellers will start driving the Esquire pricing, and I've seen over time that resellers push the prices up by 10, 20, 30%, and once there is non-availability, then the prices even go up. And please, like the next apartment that will get ready and delivered is Elysian, and there is no new supply in our entire Goregaon project. So that also will play in the minds of the buyer when they will look at Esquire, and obviously if they push that up, that gives me that much room for pushing the Elysian out as well.
Okay, great. And just another one or two. So, can you update us on the Borivali adjacent commercial project? And the last one from my side is any updated thoughts on the equity raise? And I asked that because you made it very clear last call, but I asked it because the equity markets are doing very well. It's quite a buoyant market, and at the same time you are seeing opportunities on the acquisition side. So your thoughts on that?
So Borivali, again, the adjacent, so there are two commercials in Borivali. One is the mall itself that we are doing. If your question is on the mall, then the mall, the superstructure should get ready anytime within the next 4 months. We are fully topping up. It's more than 1 million square feet of retail. We have a hotel on top, and we are literally holding our pen to sign the contract with one of the leading hotel management companies. Just ready. I was actually looking at Somil, have we signed? He says, he nods no, but we are ready to. So it could be in the next 2 weeks probably we will sign the hotel contract, and so that part gets done. Then we have acquired a slum redevelopment which is next to our property. That's where the commercial component is. And again, yeah, exactly. So we already have the LOI. It's equivalent to an approval, and I believe the site will start getting vacated in the next 3 to 6 months, and we will immediately start work there. Even there, the plans are done. So that's where we are. And on the on the fundraise, I can only tell you that you're absolutely right. There is tremendous interest in the market, and we are very lucky, investors like us. And so obviously we haven't really thought about it. When we look at our own cash flows that will come out of projects, somebody said Mulund is 66% complete. Mulund is, as far as we are concerned, a lot more than that. We've only built for 60%, but a lot more complete. I have so much inventory in Borivali, in Mulund, which is like fully paid for. So I see a huge cash flow coming from these projects. And you guys know, when we bought Thane, we bought it out of the cash flows of Esquire. And let's say in the next 3 quarters, Thane will be fully paid for with zero debt. So and we haven't gone and raised any money. So again, like I'm saying that, we keep competing within ourselves that should we play this game or should we play that. But like I said, we are very lucky. We have the convenience of playing any game out. And we haven't ruled anything out. Again, I'm saying that, one doesn't, we keep all the channels open. Tomorrow if I get a project which requires me to throw in $200, $300, $400 million upfront, anything is possible. And we have the gunpowder ready in multiple ways to really go out there and do it.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thanks, sir. Thanks.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Saurabh from JP Morgan. Please go ahead.
Hi, Saurabh.
Hi, sir. Saumil, just one question. So, as per your annual report, so will it be fair that about 700 crores of cash was repatriated from the Worli project into Oberoi?
Yes.
Okay.
This was when we did the hotel transaction.
Okay. So the money came in from this from the 360 entity.
Correct.
Okay. So the cash distribution which is now left is basically you will get the 1100 crores odd, which is balance left as preferential, and then the profit share starts.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, understood. And one question, Vikas, is your last year pre-sales was about 3,200 crores. 1Q print obviously is impacted by COVID, but do you think full year basis your launch pipeline, you should be at least around that number?
Again, I would love to answer your question, but it just look like we're speculating. And I can only say that, we aspire to do a lot more, but I'll leave it at that,
Okay, understood. Thanks.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Pulkit Patni from Goldman Sachs. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thanks a lot for taking my questions. My first question is on Thane. Any update on launch timelines there? Anything you can share in terms of, what is going to be the configuration of launch, commercial, residential? That would be my first question.
So, Thane, we will be obviously launching residential. What we are looking at is probably close to Diwali launch. We are fully ready. I mean, our show apartment, as committed by my team, should be ready by September. So we will be ready with our experience center, and plans are ready. I would love to disclose it, but I want to keep it tight because there's a lot of time from now till the launch, and we've learned from these car companies how if you see the model till the car is launched. So we want to build a suspense around what we are doing. Trust me, the market has not seen anything like what we have planned for. Very, very, very confident, very happy, and very proud of what we are doing, and it'll be a game changer. So I'll only request you to wait, and you'll be very happy and
Sure, Vikas. But since the timelines have been moving, should we assume that Diwali is confirmed in terms of all our approvals in place, plans in place, etc.?
Well, our approvals are already in place. I already have an approval. We, we were just waiting for the right time for us to launch it. I think Diwali looks like a good time, and we will do it around then.
Sure. My second question is expansion beyond Bombay. Any thoughts there? Anything that you could share on that front?
So we are very, very bullish about moving out of Mumbai. We have a fantastic franchise. It will be a pity if we can't take this franchise and all our learnings to other parts of India. So that's very, very clear. And we continue to look for it. We are, I would say that, we are like one person away from starting any office anywhere outside Mumbai. And, we will literally run it like a separate division. So it will be Mumbai and, something parallel for outside. And we will build it from there. So, I'm actually in talks with people. If things materialize, then the right kind of guy takes over as CEO, rest of India, and grows that business. We obviously use our brand name, franchise, everything, and get him to do this. So this is really our our strategy there. And I'm happy you asked us, because it's only more and more serious when you see the good players depleting due to whatever COVID and all that. It gives us that much more reason, for us to venture out as well. And it will not be at the cost of Mumbai. I will continue to run Mumbai as an MD, and I want to give fresh legs to the other than Mumbai, give a CEO this opportunity and get them to run it.
Great. No, this is good to know, Vikas. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Adhidev Chattopadhyay from ICICI Securities. Please go ahead.
Yeah, good evening. First question. Yeah. When do you see the Ritz-Carlton now starting up? Any soft launch date?
So, we internally have set a target for next year end. Now we've already started the interior work, and it will pick up pace because we have a new design guy. We are doing all the mock-ups and things like that. So, anywhere between 12 and 14 months is what we think we will take to finish it. So, safely next year end, by December 2022.
Okay, December 22. And just
Sorry, go ahead.
No, please finish. You were saying something.
No, so the Ritz-Carlton team for 360 West is already in place because, 360 West is also going to be served by Ritz-Carlton. So that team already is in place. They are building that team up because we're getting ready, once OC comes in, people will start moving in, and so we will be providing them with all the services. And simultaneously, this interior work will go on.
Okay, sure. The second question, this is for Saumil. For this Commerz III, the FSI payment we have done, have we gotten some savings because of the FSI payment scheme which has been extended for till 31st December this year over there?
Oh, yes, absolutely. That was, in line with that 50% and, whatever the government has extended. So that has worked in this particular case.
Okay, and just a follow-up on that. So for our Worli, the Glaxo land parcel, now with I think the DPR also being finalized, some clauses of it. So do we have some clarity on the FSI now, and would you be going ahead with the FSI payments over there? Or if you could give some clarity on the sort of saleable area we could see in that project.
So as far as the Worli area is concerned, we've always maintained it's about 1.6 million odd square feet kind of a development. Obviously, as we keep looking at the plans and as we keep fine-tuning the plans, we will work it out. And we will let you know at the right point of time as to, what's the actual timeline and what's the size and, what's the anticipated payments and all of that. Ideally, yes, for everything, leave alone Worli. For all our projects, wherever this concessional FSI regime is available, we would like to take advantage of it as much as possible. And you have already seen us do that for Com3. So that's something that's playing on our minds. So let's just see how things go ahead.
Okay. So just one final question. I think I missed that earlier in the call. This Borivali Mall, when do we see it now becoming operational? If you could just...
So Borivali, our superstructure will be ready by December, and then we, give it for fit outs. I think probably anywhere around mid next year or a little later, third quarter next year.
So we would ideally, like to see the mall trading before Diwali next year, so that the retailers are able to get advantage of that season.
And just to add to what Saumil said, the mall is right adjacent to the metro, and the metro work has also gone very, very well, and the government is actually that they'll probably have the metro up and running by this year end, October end. Now even if that gets extended by 6 months, we'll have the station ready and we'll be doing the fit outs, so that also will give us a very good boost.
Okay, and any chance of getting additional FSI to providing some connectivity to the metro station or something? It's just, I know, just
not really. We have enough and more FSI. What do we do with FSI anymore?
Okay. Yeah, okay, fine. Okay, sounds good. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Parvez Qazi from Edelweiss Securities. Please go ahead.
Hi, Parvez.
Hi, good afternoon, sir, and thanks for taking my question. So 2 questions from my side. When can we see further launches in Goregaon? And the second, Saumil did mention about the Glaxo project, but any kind of idea about timelines or what exactly are we planning?
Goregaon, Borivali and Thane, we will probably be launching one tower each this Diwali.
Great, sir. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Girish Chaudhary from Spark Capital Advisors Private Limited. Please go ahead.
Hi, good evening, and thanks for taking my question.
A
couple of questions. The first one, just on the pending cost to complete the rental project. So, what are the pending costs, and then where are we in terms of pre-leasing across both these properties?
Sorry, you're talking about the mall or you're talking about the commercial building?
Both the mall and the commercial, the commerce thing.
I think you can take this offline with Somil. He'll be able to tell you. These are very hard.
In terms of costs, we have always guided the markets in terms of what the likely construction cost is, per square feet. So over a period of time, you will see us expending, that money. I think some bit of idea you would have already got from the March end financials. As far as what was your second question on?
Pre-leasing.
The pre-leasing.
Yeah.
So as far as the pre-leasing is concerned, as far as Com3 is concerned, the one deal that we did, which we discussed with you all last year, that was a transaction with Morgan Stanley for their requirement for office space here. Obviously, in addition to that, we continue to talk to people. But as you all are aware, the building is still at a construction stage. So obviously, many of these cases, and especially if you look in commercial offices, the pre-leasing interest only picks up as you keep getting closer to end of construction. So let's see how that bit goes. As far as the pre-leasing in the Borivali Mall is concerned, as it is right now, if you would have heard in terms of our response to one of the earlier questions on the Goregaon Mall, right now we would firstly want to talk to the retailers and ensure that the Goregaon Mall gets operational. And again, in terms of timelines and in terms of where we stand in Borivali, we know that we have a little bit of time to complete the construction. And in all fairness, once we actually start closing out transactions in Borivali, it's not going to take long. In all fairness, most of your retailers in the Goregaon Mall itself are likely to, follow there. And then in addition to that, whatever else little bit is required can also be done quite fast. So in all fairness, if we are looking at finishing the superstructure by December or January, we know that if we are able to crank up a little bit of the pre-leasing by then that will ensure that, the mall opens with, a fantastically high level of occupancy at the time of opening. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, that's helpful. My second and last question on the Mulund project, just wanted your views in terms of the momentum. Last year was pretty good, the second half, third and the fourth quarter, where you were clocking almost 65 units per quarter. But this quarter, the slowdown is understandable. But for the rest of the year, how would you judge the momentum coming back? So what kind of expectations you are sort of building in from this project?
Frankly, we don't want to speculate too much, but all I can say is that, life and business both are back, and we clearly hope that this year will be better than the last year. Because last year we only got the last 6 months, and here, let's say to the second wave, we've lost out on probably only the first quarter, and there's always a catch-up that's happening.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Amandeep Singh from Ambit Capital. Please go ahead.
Thanks for the opportunity. Firstly, when we look at the MMR market, so March saw registration of anywhere around 18,000 units, then lockdown impacted mid-April to May. June and July also, when we see the numbers, the monthly run rate is at around 8,000 to 9,000 conveyance registration each. So in that context, can you help us understand what's happening on ground, whether it is more of previous agreements executed during the stamp duty cuts are now getting registered, or the resale has also increased? Or are you still seeing the momentum of the demand being sustained since your area booking was at sub 10% of previous quarter and 30-40% for other developers with the MMR exposure also?
So frankly speaking, it's a bit of everything. You're absolutely right that some of these registrations are happening which were done in the earlier regime. Some of them are new sales, and once the lockdown kind of eased out or it eases out, you continue to see that demand, because the underlying theory or the fact is that people have realized that they want a good house. It's not like money in the bank is doing anything for them, and that drive. I mean, and we don't see this only in Mumbai. We see this across India, and not only across India but globally. Wherever people have been saving money, there is a huge mindset shift into spending, and spending something on something which is more tangible, which is a house. And most people clearly see house as an investment that they can consume or use, and not like an expense. So that also plays a very big role. So if you really put all this together, you'll then be able to decipher the fact that this is how the customer mind thinks, and whatever you just said is an outcome of that. And I feel this is going to continue to grow only. It's not going to just continue to be. It will grow, and that's where I see that the market itself will increase.
Sure, thanks. That's helpful. And in terms of your commercial portfolio, we also note that Commerz witnessed some fresh lease-ups during the quarter. So in that context, can you specify what sectors are driving higher occupancies, and what's the outlook for further lease-ups given vaccination drives now in place?
So, here again, I mean, if you see that kind of fad of work from home has died much faster than what people actually anticipated it to be. People are very quickly bored of being sitting at home, and they want to come back to office. You see this happen globally. It's happening in India for sure, and there is a huge, 2 years there was hardly any supply. So in the short run, you will see that, because of the pandemic, maybe there were some people who downsized, and there will be some supply available, which probably might either, check the price from growing, or probably even, one might see even like softening of the pricing, but to a very small extent. But very quickly, you will also start seeing the rentals go up. Again, here, the logic is that there's hardly any supply, and people are going back. And I see this in micro markets. It's already started to happen. So there is no new supply. People who will want offices will want. And, you clearly see some of the sectors have been beneficiaries of COVID. So COVID in all has not been a super killer for this thing. Look at the stock market, it's an all-time high. There are so many other businesses that are doing really well. There are people who are hiring and are being hired. So, all this is a huge positive, I feel. And I'm very bullish on the office market also, that it will bounce back much faster than what we all anticipated it to be.
Thanks, that's helpful. And lastly, if I can squeeze in one more. So on new launches, you mentioned about Thane, Goregaon and Borivali around Diwali. However, can you indicate any update with respect to your I-Ven project at Worli, which you are planning to convert into residential?
So again, like I said, that we have enough inventory in 360. We want to first see that that part is taken care of. We continue to plan. We might even start work, but will not launch very immediately. So you don't see I-Ven launch happening instantly or anytime immediate.
Sure, thanks. That's helpful, and all the very best. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. That was the last question. I now hand the conference over to Mr. Vikas Oberoi for closing comments.
Thank you all for taking time for this call. We take your feedback with a lot of, and your interaction very seriously, and we, deliberate about all your questions and ideas. This only helps us perform better. You all know that our team is always available for you to interact, and we look forward to doing that with you. Thank you for all your feedback once again, and look forward to speaking with you all again. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of Oberoi Realty, that concludes this conference call for today. Thank you for joining us, and you may now disconnect your lines.